Hi, this is the Magic Pot lesson for Thursday, the 28th of January. Good morning, Cherry Tree. Good morning, Miss Stevenson and Mrs. Howes and Mrs. Gonzalez and Miss Swile. Good morning, everyone. I was so impressed by the work you did writing your own version of the Magic Pot yesterday. Well done for working super duper hard. I loved how carefully all of you thought about what your story opener should be. They were brilliant. Well done to everybody for remembering your capital letters, finger spaces between each word, full stop, and for counting out the sounds, pinching those sounds for longer words. Really good job. Today we're going to carry on writing our story. Yesterday we wrote the beginning of our story. Today we're going to write the middle. We're going to write about when our character runs into the forest because they're so sad and so hungry. We're going to write about meeting the new magical creature. We're going to write about getting a new magic pot. I'm excited. Let's go. Now, yesterday, here we go. I hope I appear. Am I here? Let's try again. 1 second, everyone. Technology is sent to try us. And I'm not going to give up because this is, I think, the 5th time I've recorded this lesson. Here we go. Let's see if this works now. Yay! Here we go. That's better. Now, yesterday you wrote the beginning of the story. Today, our learning objective is to write the middle of the story. We're going to use the sentence starters and sound mats. Make sure you use those to help you with your writing. We're going to describe our new magical creature. And to do that, you can look back through your book and look at the drawing you did of your new magical creature. What did they look like? What was their personality like? If you're doing the red level of challenge today, when you are describing either the forest, your character, or your new magical creature, I want you to use adjectives, 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 and use commas between the adjectives. Remember, a comma is a full stop with a little tail. If you're doing the orange level of challenge today, when your character or the magical creature is speaking, what are they saying? And can you use speech marks around what they're saying? Let's remember that speech marks go before someone speaks, then they speak, then they go after they finish speaking as well. Let's have a go. So mine, already my story has started off and it said, once upon a time. Oh, by the way, so yesterday I recorded this against me writing on a fridge, and I'm a little bit worried that some of you couldn't see what I was writing. I'm going to keep working on that for today. That's why I'm doing it on the computer. My story went, once upon a time, that was a comma, in a land far, far away, there lived a little girl called, there was a brave little girl called Sophie. Sophie, capital letter, and her mother lived in a tiny cottage. Capital letter, so that's a full stop, capital letter. They did not have much money. Poor them. Sometimes they could not even afford to buy enough food. So that's where I've got up to with my opening. Some of you have already described your character running into the forest. That's absolutely fine. I'm going to write mine here. So I'm going to start with one gloomy morning. That's my sentence starter. Sophie was so upset, she ran into the forest crying. So we have to start with one. 1. This is my capital letter finger space. Gloomy morning, sentence starter. One gloomy morning, Sophie, capital letter because it's her name, red word. One gloomy morning, Sophie was so, I could say upset, I could say sad. I'm going to check in my work that I did before about feelings. I've written devastated, morose, miserable, miserable. S, R, A, B, O. Long word. Z, S for Z. Special friends. A, bull, special friends. One gloomy morning, Sophie was so miserable, she ran into red word, the forest, deep forest, deep forest, 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 crying, sobbing, special friends, special friends, full stop. One gloomy morning, Sophie was so miserable, she ran into the deep forest sobbing. She sat down. Oh, hang on a minute. What could I hear? What could she hear? What could she see? What could she smell? I think I'm going to do a hear. What should I do? See. She could see towering trees all around her. She could see towering trees, alliteration, all around her. Capital letter. She, red word, could see, sentence starter. She could see towering, out. I can look at my work that I did when I did a forest description. There it is. I knew I'd written towering trees. Towering trees. She could see towering trees. Trees sounds like it's ch, but it's trees. She could see towering trees all around. She could see towering trees all around her. She could hear, sentence starter, she could hear, what have I written? Birds singing. I like that. Beautiful birds singing. Birds singing beautifully. She could hear birds singing. She could hear thousands of birds. She could hear animals scurrying. I think birds singing. She could hear birds. Birds. She could hear birds singing. Sing, She could hear birds singing. What did she do? She sat down on a rock. She sat down on a rock. Let's make it better. She sat down on a cold, bumpy rock. So letter. She sat down. She sat down on a cold, on a cold, bumpy B-E. B-E. She sat down on a cold, bumpy rock, crying. So one gloomy morning, Sophie was so miserable, she ran into the deep forest, sobbing. Why was she miserable? She was hungry. She was so hungry. Let's add that in there. Ooh. She was so hungry. That's better. One gloomy morning, Sophie was so miserable, she ran into the deep forest, sobbing. She was so hungry. Two so's, but I still like it. She could see towering trees all around her. She could hear birds singing. She sat down on a cold, bumpy rock, crying. What's the matter? Came a voice. Speech marks. Speech marks. What? Red word. Is the matter? Question mark and speech marks. Said a. What's my magical creature like? I'm just going to look. There she is. I know what she looks like. I'll get ready for that. Oh, she's kind. She's gentle. Said a kind, gentle, g for special friends, voice, the voice, the voice. Sophie looked up. She could see. What's your magical creature going to look like? What's your magical creature holding? What's the matter? Said a kind, gentle voice. Sophie looked up. She could see a mysterious, tall, pale wizard. I forgot I was doing a wizard. He was holding a sparkly, glittering, glowing pot. What happened next? What are your magic words going to be? I'm so excited to see how you get on. Good job, everybody.